Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of mastery. When a person is still, it doesn't mean they are doing nothing, it means they are doing the inner work. The world may be spinning fast, but the one who remains grounded is the one who remains in control. Stillness is a decision, not a default. It is choosing to stand firm when everything around you tells you to panic. Calmness is not the same as indifference. Panic moves forward. Calmness is not the same as indifference. It's not surrendering to circumstances, but rising above them. It's a fire burning without smoke, heat without chaos. A calm person is not one who lacks emotion, but one who has disciplined their emotion. They know when to speak, when to wait, and when to move with precision rather than impulse. That's not passivity, that's power under control. The world has confused noise with strength, but real strength isn't loud. Real strength doesn't need to be validated by applause or attention. It sits in the room and shifts the atmosphere without saying a word. Stillness intimidates because it holds back what others are desperate to let out. And in that self-restraint, there is more might than in 1,000 shouts. Powerful people don't chase storms, they study them. They don't react to chaos, they prepare for it. Calm is the ability to look the storm in the face and not flinch, to breathe deeply when others are losing their heads. That kind of strength is not something you're born with. It's something you build through battles, through setbacks, through self-discipline and silence. Stillness doesn't mean you don't feel pressure. It means pressure doesn't control you. It's the composure that comes when you've fought battles in your mind long before the world saw your victory. A calm warrior is more dangerous than a panicked army. They don't panic because they've trained for this. They don't collapse because their foundation was built in silence. A calm mind sees the whole board, not just the next move. It thinks beyond reaction and weighs the consequence. Stillness allows for strategy, and strategy wins wars. There is clarity in calm, and clarity breeds confidence. When you are still, you are aware. You are not lost in the noise, you are ahead of it. Strength is in restraint, the ability to say no when your emotions scream yes, the decision to walk away when pride says fight. The calm mind is not weak. It's been through the fire and didn't let the fire change its nature. It didn't break, it didn't burn, it didn't beg for attention. It simply stood tall, unshaken, unmoved. There's a reason oceans are feared in their stillness. There's a reason oceans are feared in their stillness. That quiet surface hides a depth that can't be measured. The same goes for the person who knows how to hold their peace. They speak less but mean more. They move less but impact more. And while the world runs wild, the calm one waits, prepares, and when they strike, it's with purpose. Mastery doesn't begin with controlling the world, it begins with controlling your response to it. Life will always throw things at you that you didn't expect, didn't want, and didn't deserve. But the true test isn't what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens. Reaction is automatic, emotional, often regrettable. Response is intentional, calculated, and powerful. One creates chaos, the other creates control. When you react, you give your power away. You hand over your emotions, your peace, your decisions to the situation or the person provoking you. But when you respond, you take back ownership. You pause, you breathe, you think. You realize that between what happens and what you do next, there is space. And in that space is where greatness is born. That space is the difference between repeating your past and rewriting your future. Reaction is the language of the undisciplined. It's fast, it's loud, and it's reckless. It feels good in the moment, but often causes damage that takes time to repair. A calm response, on the other hand, requires strength. It's not weakness to wait, it's wisdom. It's choosing not to let someone else's chaos pull you out of your character. It's choosing clarity over confusion, control over collision. Every time you respond, instead of react, you reinforce who you are becoming. You are building the habit of awareness. You are no longer letting life dictate your emotions. You are setting the tone in that choice. Over and over again, you start to shift your world. You don't just survive the storms, you start to direct the winds. That's not just emotional intelligence, that's leadership over your own life. The world is full of people who can't control themselves. They explode, they blame, they spiral. But you're not here to blend in, you're here to rise. And that rise starts inside. You have to learn to observe the emotion without being the emotion. You have to be above the emotion and decide whether to allow the emotion to play out in a way that rises you above the emotion, that to acknowledge the heat without letting it burn bridges, to hold the fire without letting it consume you. Reaction is a trap. It feels like release, but it's actually a cage. It keeps you stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. But response is a path. It opens doors. It creates options. It turns conflict into clarity, tension into teaching, pain into power. You don't need to fight every battle. Some battles are won by simply not reacting at all. Powerful people are not the ones who shout the loudest. They are the ones who remain composed when the world tests them. They understand that every situation is a mirror. You can either reflect back the noise or reflect back the growth. When you respond with strength, the world begins to notice. Not because you made noise, but because you made moves that mattered. Mastering your reactions is mastering your peace, your focus, your direction. You become less of a prisoner to emotion and more of an architect of reality. You no longer fall into chaos, you rise through it. That shift is not a one-time decision, it's a daily discipline. And every time you practice it, you don't just become calmer, you become stronger, sharper, and more unshakable. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. In a world that screams for attention, the one who remains silent stands out. When everyone rushes to speak, to argue, to prove, the quiet mind listens, watches, and waits. That silence isn't weakness, it's preparation. It's the calm before the move, the breath before the breakthrough, the stillness before the shift. Chaos feeds on noise. It grows louder when you respond without thinking, when you fight battles that don't matter, when you trade peace for pride. But silence starves chaos. It leaves confusion unanswered, drama untouched, conflict uninvited. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes, the greatest show of power is no reaction at all. There's a kind of silence that speaks louder than words. It says, I know who I am. It says, I don't need to prove anything. It says, I've mastered my emotions. When you carry that kind of silence, the room shifts. People sense the depth in your quiet. They feel the weight of your restraint. The loudest storms don't fear those who yell back. They fear those who remain unshaken. A quiet mind is not an inactive one. It's a focused one. It doesn't waste energy reacting to noise. It observes, it learns, it strategizes. While others panic, the silent one plans. While others drown in distraction, the silent one sharpens intention. This is how power is cultivated, not in shouting, but in seeing what others miss because they're too busy making noise. When chaos hits, your first response defines the outcome. Will you meet noise with more noise, or will you meet it with calm that commands attention? It's a beautiful thing. A quiet mind disarms the enemy, not with words, but with presence. It unsettles those who expect a fight. It confuses those who thrive on conflict. It disrupts the cycle of reaction and introduces the force of discipline. Silence is not about hiding, it's about choosing when to speak. It's not about fear, it's about focus. Not everything needs a response. Not every situation deserves your energy. The higher you rise, the more you learn to protect your peace with silence. The more powerful you become, the more selective you are with your voice. There's wisdom in restraint. There's power in choosing silence when the ego wants to speak. When you learn to let your actions make noise instead of your words, you become untouchable. Silence gives you time to think, to gather, to redirect. And when you finally do speak, it's with precision, not confusion, with clarity, not chaos. A quiet mind creates space for strength to grow. It is the ground where self-control is planted, where intention is nurtured, where discipline takes root. While noise scatters the mind, silence gathers it. And when the storm comes, it's not the loud that survive, it's the still. It's not the reactive that win, it's the rooted. When we become clear, we set limits. When we fight, and nothing is more feared than a person who carries chaos and silence and turns it into power. Peace doesn't just arrive one day like a gift at your doorstep. It's built step by step, choice by choice. It's the result of decisions made when no one's watching. When your patience is tested, when your buttons are pushed, when your pride wants to fight back, that's where peace is either strengthened or sacrificed. It's not something you stumble upon, it's something you practice daily. A calm mind isn't the product of perfect circumstances, it's the outcome of consistent training. Just like a muscle, your peace grows through repetition, through the decision to breathe when anger rises, through the choice to walk away when ego wants to engage, through the ability to pause even when every part of you wants to react. That's the discipline that turns emotion into power. People admire calmness as if it's a personality trait, but it's not. It's a commitment. A commitment to not let the world decide how you feel. A commitment to protect your energy like it's gold. A commitment to prioritize growth over drama. Clarity over confusion. Direction over distraction. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Peace doesn't come from silence outside, it comes from stillness inside. You can't control every situation, but you can control what it stirs within you. You can train your thoughts to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. You can discipline your reactions to reflect your purpose, not your pain. This is what separates those who move with power from those who move with chaos. The discipline of peace is tested in pressure. It shows up when things go wrong, when people disappoint you, when the outcome doesn't match the effort. In those moments, peace isn't passive, it's active. It's choosing to stay centered, choosing to not let external noise drown your internal knowing, choosing to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Daily peace requires daily work. It means starting your morning not with noise, but with focus. It means filling your mind with intention before the world fills it with stress. It means creating routines that feed your calm instead of your chaos. The mind, when untrained, will wander into worry. But the trained mind learns to sit still, even when everything around it is moving. Every day offers you a chance to either feed your peace or fuel your problems. The words you speak, the thoughts you entertain, the people you allow near your energy, all of it either builds your calm or breaks it. Discipline is choosing what serves your spirit, not just what satisfies your mood. Peace requires you to be honest with what drains you and intentional with what strengthens you. Peace is power, but it's not handed to you. It's earned through consistency. It's earned through the uncomfortable moments where you choose growth over reaction. It's earned by facing your inner storms without letting them become outer explosions. A calm mind isn't found, it's forged in silence, in struggle, and in the decision to keep showing up for yourself no matter what the world throws at you. Clarity isn't something that shouts, it whispers. It doesn't show up in chaos, it reveals itself in calm. When the mind is racing, when the emotions are loud, When the world is demanding, answers hide behind the noise. But when you quiet the outside and still the inside, what once seemed confusing begins to make sense. Clarity lives on the other side of stillness. A mind in motion, without direction, spins in circles. It reacts to everything, absorbs everything, chases everything. It becomes cluttered, not because of lack of intelligence, but because of lack of peace. When you slow the mind down, you create space. And in that space, truth has room to speak. You stop thinking just to think, and you begin to listen. Most people don't lack answers. They lack the quiet required to hear them. They lack the quiet required to hear them. They search externally, but the clarity they need is buried beneath layers of distraction. The news, the noise, the opinions, the pressure. It all clouds vision. But when you choose calm, you clear the fog. You start to see not just what's happening, but why it's happening. You move from reaction to recognition. Calm is the gateway to awareness. When you're calm, you see the whole picture, not just the blur of emotion. You can tell the difference between urgency and importance. You can separate impulse from instinct. You don't just do what feels right, you begin to do what is right. You respond with intention, not confusion. You don't find clarity by doing more, you find it by being still. In stillness, your thoughts settle like dust in a quiet room. You begin to understand what you're really feeling, what you really want, what really matters. Clarity doesn't come when you force it. It comes when you're present enough to let it arrive on its own. A calm mind creates space for reflection. It allows you to process, not just react, to pause and ask the deeper questions, to look inward instead of outward. Clarity begins with asking not what's wrong with the world, but what's happening inside me. That shift in attention opens the door to real solutions. When you're calm, you make better decisions, not rushed, not reactive, not based on fear. You see the long game. You think past the moment. You measure your moves with purpose. Clarity born from calm becomes your compass. It doesn't just guide you through the moment, it shapes the direction of your entire path. Noise is temporary, but costly. It distracts you, misleads you, overwhelms you. But calm is timeless. It restores, reveals, and realigns. When you learn to slow down your thoughts, you speed up your understanding. And in that quiet space, you no longer just see the path, you start walking it with certainty. Bold decisions aren't born from panic, they're born from peace. A calm mind doesn't rush into choices just to feel in control. It pauses, it assesses, it thinks long term. It's not about how fast you move, it's about how sure you are when you move. Precision requires patience, and patience comes from inner calm. The boldest moves are often the quietest ones. Speed without direction is chaos disguised as progress. The world celebrates fast action, quick responses, immediate answers. But the truly powerful don't move because they're pressured. They move because they're ready. They don't let the noise rush them. They take their time, gather perspective, and then act with intent. That's not hesitation. That's control. A calm mind studies the battlefield before stepping onto it. It doesn't fear delay because delay allows for clarity. It understands that every decision carries weight, and rushing through it only leads to regret. While others sprint into uncertainty, the calm mind walks with certainty. It doesn't react to pressure, it creates pressure through composure. Bold decisions are not reckless ones. They're calculated, rooted in self-awareness and vision. A calm mind knows when to strike and when to wait. It doesn't waste energy proving a point. It invests energy creating results. That's the difference between movement and momentum. One just moves, the other moves with meaning. The mind that's calm has the advantage of full vision. It sees more, hears more, feels more. It's not clouded by emotion, noise, or fear. That clarity sharpens decisions. It trims away the unnecessary and reveals the essential. Boldness isn't just about courage, it's about clarity backed by confidence. In silence, you measure your options. In stillness, you hear your instincts. A calm mind uses both logic and intuition. It's not swayed by trends or opinion, it's guided by principle. That kind of decision making doesn't just lead to results, it leads to legacy. It's not just about winning now, it's about not losing later. Precision in decision making doesn't come from overthinking, it comes from understanding. A calm mind doesn't get stuck in the details, it sees how the details align with the vision. It doesn't react emotionally to setbacks, it adjusts direction without losing purpose. It chooses battles wisely and wins them quietly. Bold doesn't mean loud. Bold means certain, focused, unshaken. The calm mind doesn't scream confidence, it breathes it. It doesn't seek validation, it seeks effectiveness. When you master your calm, you master your aim. And when your aim is sharp, your impact is unstoppable. Overthinking is the enemy of clarity. It drains energy, not because the problem is too big, but because the mind keeps spinning in circles. You rehearse conversations that never happen, fear outcomes that haven't arrived, and carry burdens that don't belong to you. The noise in your head grows louder than the reality in front of you. That's not thinking, it's drowning in thought. A calm mind doesn't chase every idea, it learns to pause, to filter, to focus. Stillness isn't emptiness, it's direction. It's not about having no thoughts, but about choosing which thoughts deserve your attention. Overthinking scatters energy in every direction, but calm gathers it in one. The deeper the water, the quieter it flows. You can't build a powerful life when your mind is constantly second-guessing your every move. Overthinking creates a cycle of hesitation and self-doubt. You plan, you worry, you delay. And while you're trapped in your thoughts, opportunities pass you by. Calm minds don't rush, but they don't stall either. They think, then act. The more you overthink, the more you disconnect from your instincts. You begin to doubt what you know deep down. You start looking for answers outside when the real answers are already within. A calm mind honors intuition. It listens to that quiet voice, not the screaming noise of fear. It doesn't need 10 reasons to move, just one that's real. Overthinking is often a mask for fear. Fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of making the wrong choice. But fear doesn't need more thinking. It needs courage built on stillness. The calm mind understands that no decision will ever be perfect, but a decision made in peace is stronger than one made in panic. When your energy is spread across 1,000 scenarios, none of them get your best. But when your mind is still, your power is focused. You don't just move, you move with force. You don't just think, you think with purpose. That's the difference between wasted motion and meaningful progress. Calm is not the absence of thought, it's the organization of thought. It's putting your ideas in order, choosing what matters, and letting go of the rest. It's the refusal to be enslaved by mental clutter. The still mind doesn't shut down, it sharpens, it becomes a weapon in a world full of scattered minds. Still waters reflect clearly. They reveal what's beneath. Overthinking clouds the surface, distorts the vision, blocks the truth. But the calm mind sees through the noise. It stays centered, deep, focused, and from that place of stillness, it makes decisions that cut through the fog and move life forward with strength.